What's up, YouTube? I am Bay Area Baller, and this is 49ers Fired Up, the hottest show on YouTube. Tough loss against the Bears. I got my boy, that Niner guy, to talk to me about it. Johnny, how you feeling today?
I'm okay. Not great. No, I'm fine. It's it's definitely a tough L, especially with a lot of the stuff a lot of Bears fans are saying on Twitter for sure. But it's week one. Crazy stuff happens. I mean, the Giants are 1-0. That says it. That says it all.
Yeah, that I wasn't expecting that. And Johnny, you know why this one stung? Because it felt like the Niners were the better team. Like, there's no doubt in my mind the Niners were the better team. I mean, we outgained them. We had more passing yards. We had more rushing yards. I mean, the Debo turnover, it felt a bit fluky, but we're already getting started on our first topic. Let's dive right into it. We're going with the heated headline.
The heated headlines.
Yeah, so we're talking about this loss to the Bears, and it stung because the Niners were the better team. And, like I said, we outgained them. The Debo fumble felt fluky, right? That first drive, Johnny, we came out, and it felt like we were dominating. Like a touchdown was destined to happen, except that it didn't happen. Debo fumbles the ball. Anyway, why don't you chime in? How'd you feel about this loss?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle had a good script on the opening drive. There's no question about that. He's quite good at, having a great script. He got a short field. He made it count. They kind of kept him off balance. The wide receiver sweeps. Great play action ball from Lance at Ayuk for 30 yards or so. And then Debo fumbles. Yeah. And it kind of throws off the offense a bit. When you come out basically averaging 15 yards a play because your first couple runs were 7 yards. There was a penalty there also in there with I think a false start from Elijah Mitchell, but it just too many errors. When you outgain your opponent by almost 130 yards, you have more first downs and you win time of possession by 5-6 minutes, but you lose by 9. How do you do that? That doesn't make any sense. You do that by having an extra turnover, one in the red zone in particular, one at the end of the game before the monsoon, which we'll talk about that as well. It's not as bad of a play as people think it is when you watch the tape on it. It was a hell of a play by Eddie Jackson for starters, but Trey could have thrown it a little earlier.
That's it. The window was just a snap earlier.
Eddie got him a little bit. That was a veteran getting a rookie right there. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, they kind of threw up the offense. They got short. They got basically, but they started the first 3 drives plus the 40-yard line, and they got 0 points. 0 point. I mean, it's kind of inexcusable, right? You're basically, and on one of those drives in particular, the Niners should have had at least a field goal. They take this. McGlinchey gets victimized on the edge and gives the sack. Having said that, though, he actually did play a pretty good game. He made one mistake early in the game, but overall, it really wasn't that bad. It just, he just unfortunately for him, he finds a way to make a big mistake every game. It cost them points, unfortunately. But he really didn't play all that bad. He actually played fairly well. He's a little nicked up, but I mean, overall, yeah, you commit 12 penalties for 99 yards, 3 of those being on third down on defense that keep that not only prolonged drives, but lead to scores. That's just a killer. They beat themselves. There's no way around it.
What's up, Josh? Josh says apparently it's going to be rain this Sunday. The football gods don't want Lance to have a fair shot early on. That's disappointing. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm going to be there. Johnny's going to be there. We're going to try to link up at Levi's. Shout out to my cousin Matt for hooking me up with the tickets. Can't wait to see you.
Is it really going to rain this weekend?
I feel like, 5 days out, things can change. It's a little early to kind of bet on what the weather's going to be. But I have heard that there was, now I'm getting my meteorologist.
Yeah, Sunday, 50% chance of rain. You got to be kidding me.
Wow. Josh, breaking news. Breaking news on here. I hope not, but I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be anything like it was in Chicago. At least I hope not. Although I will say I was at that Colts game last year and it was coming down pretty good.
Yeah, the Colts game was a totally different experience. That was kind of what the monsoon turned into, but that was like all game long. And
It
that
was all
yeah.
game long. Oh, I got something. I got something from that one. I've been waiting to play this video.
We're going to need some new Shoney's after this game.
Yeah. That was my halftime. Man, I gotta run that one more time because that one's too good. This is halftime at the Colts game.
We're going to need some new Shoney's after this game.
We need some new. My upper body was covered, right? I had the rainproof, the waterproof jacket, but the pants. I mean, I don't got no waterproof pants.
Snow pants, man. You got to wear snow pants. That's the only way. It's the only way.
I don't snowboard. I don't ski.
I don't either. I grabbed a pair, left the tag on, and then returned
for that Colts game.
Day. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Oh,
yeah. I returned the next day.
All right, that's a vet move. That's a vet move.
It's a vet move. No,
you know what? I want to pick your brain on, or get your opinion on Hufanga, right? Because we know in that first half he was flying around, making plays all over the field, tackles for loss. He had the interception, right? There's a couple plays where, like the touchdown to Equanimous St. Brown, right? He's in center field, and it kind of feels like he should have been the guy to kind of get over there and take that away when Justin Fields threw that touchdown. What do you think about that play? Did you see that?
Yeah, so that play, he's caught between a rock and a hard place because if he jumps the corner, he's got to pray to God that Fields doesn't see the other receiver who also busted and came wide open on the left side. So Brown runs the corner, and the other receiver comes across and just runs by himself because the entire defense fit to the play action fake on the left. And that play was probably designed to go there. It's either the corner or the backside if everyone flows too hard. And the way that Fields had been running around, there's no way he wasn't going to find him when throw some ridiculous pop-up pass to make everyone think he's some amazing quarterback. But he's not.
Okay. Another play I wanted to pick your brain about. What's up, Fable? Thanks for coming by. Was the Pettis play. All right. It's a zone coverage, and it gets the first problem is, and we talked about this pre-show, was Armstead gives up contain, right? That's the first issue, because if he keeps containment, there's not that much time for Pettis to find that void in the field. What did you think about that play? What did you see?
I didn't like pre-snap what they did. So they looked like they were going to run some cross dog pressure with Fred Warner even coming, right? They drop into cover 3, but the bigger problem I had was you had your two defensive tackles playing defensive end on 3rd and long, and your two best edge rushers on the field, which are Drake Jackson and Nick Bosa, rushing the A-gaps.
Why?
I don't understand that.
Why?
The Solid did the same stuff in the Super Bowl, and it really pissed me off then. And look what happened. That was Wasp right there. They ran a TE stunt on the worst play to ever run a TE stunt on. But that time, right off the bat, you have two guys who aren't going to keep contained. And, listen, if you're going to run cover 3, fine. I get that. You keep the play in front of you. You have 4 across on the line on the first down marker. You got 3 guys deep. Odds are we'll get to a fungus coverage in a minute.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a part of this play. But first of all, that was the first part of the play I didn't like. I think it was a bad play call by D'Amico. Second part about the play call I didn't like was the fact that it was cover 3 with no quarterback spy. Earlier in the first half, they negated the hell out of Justin Fields running the ball because Fred Warner, he wasn't maybe not spying him, but he was teeing off on him. The second Justin Fields broke any sort of contain, Fred Warner was all over him. The second half, they really didn't do that. They dropped Fred more back into coverage because they started completing passes. And they completed 8 passes. I mean, they completing passes like they completed a whole bunch. They completed 8. But they got a little bit defensive. They didn't attack, which is something that, they kind of did that in the Tennessee game, but that was a little different because they just had terrible field position and they were just trying to hang on for dear life, which they did. But yeah, when you get to a play like that, everyone, because Fields started running all over them a bit, that what really changed the game was that Ebukam missed sack. The one he had on the play action boot where Justin Fields kind of booted out of it. I think that was the play that changed how the Bears were going to call that game. They weren't really running Fields. Fields was actually playing in the pocket quite a bit more than I thought he ever would. After that, they really let him turn that game into backyard football, and that's basically how they got two of their biggest plays in the game.
I want to go back to that Pettis play real quick, Johnny, because me and Grant were talking on Twitter. Grant thinks it was Hufanga's responsibility. I'm looking at it was Dre Greenlaw. By the way, Dre Greenlaw, terrible game. He was terrible. He made one or two nice tackles right around the line of scrimmage. One might have been a TFL, but he was awful other than that. I mean, the Pettis play doesn't happen if he doesn't just run in and grab a face mask. We already had the running back tackled. I don't know if it was Herbert or Montgomery, but he was already wrapped up. Yeah. And Dre Greenlaw just runs in and just tugs at his face mask. Why? For what?
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard one, though. It's because we think about it, right? It's third down. They're gang tackling. They're just trying to get him down. He's not going down. And so you're just grabbing anything you can. He didn't intentionally grab his face mask. He got two penalty calls that were really just like, I understand.
I don't know, Johnny. Dre Greenlaw, the guy missed a huge chunk of the season last year. I think he was a bit too amped up to get out there and play.
Yeah. I mean, that personal
he's good for one of these penalties every game, it feels like.
Yeah, but the thing is that the freaking the play on the personal foul I got on Fields though was a joke. Fields slides late near the sideline while he's running full speed, and he tries to go over the top of him, and he gets and that's a joke. That's a joke. It was soft. It's the third time. It happened 3 times in the game.
It's soft. I agree, but I don't think Greenlaw should have put himself in that situation. You can't jump on a quarterback. I mean, Fields slides a lot. He slides a lot, like Kyler Murray.
He slides late.
Down. You got to know
late and up a lot.
That's what I'm saying. We do the same shit to Kyler. If they're sliding at the last second, and it's like you're almost committed to tackling him, but it's like, dude, you got to just run, stay on your feet, and then just push him. That's all you can.
You can't even push him because if you hit it, because they're both. Especially with Kyler, they're so short. You touch their head, it's 15 yards anyway. It's a cheat code in the rules. I mean, listen. They know they're not going to cap off on them because they'll either get suspended or a huge fine. So you know that's not going to happen right off the bat. So the quarterback can use as an advantage. Now, I personally think if you slide late, there shouldn't be a flag because you slid late. The whole point of a slide is you're giving up, not that you're trying to, draw a penalty. That's not the purpose.
But that's just how they call it. Though. That's how they call it, though. That's how they call it. So it's like
It's all right. Trey can get dogpiled by 3 guys in the backfield and no roughing the passer or anything. Roquan Smith definitely didn't grab the back of his helmet on one of those sacks, but hey, it's fine.
Something else I want to ask you, Johnny. The 4th and 1, ball at the 40-yard line, and we punt it, right? The punt. What did you feel about that? That was right after the Bears scored their first touchdown. So I think they might have missed the extra point. I think it was 10-6. The very next possession, we work it to the 40. We got a 4th and 1. And the way we got to that 4th and 1 is Trey was scrambling. There's 2 or 3 guys all over him. And Trey's fighting for every inch, trying to get that first down. Came up a yard short. And we punted away. 40-yard line, I know you probably want to be a little bit closer to midfield. I think if you're at the 50, 100% you're going for it. Would you agree with that? If that 4th and 1 is happening at the 50-yard line?
Yeah, I'd probably if you're inside the 50, you're going for it. I personally would have punted too. I know it sounds soft. Okay. I get it. But the truth of the matter is you want to talk about how the game was going. The Bears literally score on a fluky backyard touchdown that happens in grade school playgrounds. Like, let's be real. That's how the Bears scored their only.
Hey, let me tell you something. Armstead's got to know that Justin Fields likes to spin out that way.
Yeah,
when he wants to go left. He's not climbing the pocket and escaping out. Like, he likes to spin. So you almost got to attack that outside shoulder to not let that happen. And you already alluded to it. We put D tackles outside at D end on that play, and we had Bosa on the interior. And it's like, why? They hadn't scored a point, Johnny. Yep. Up until that point, they hadn't scored a point.
Yeah,
we were pitching a shutout.
I mean, it's D'Amico and Kyle both got too cute in this game. at times. And we'll get into Kyle a little bit later, but D'Amico right there, he got too cute. They got, guys like Kevin Givens and Hassan Ridgeway, they came in the game. They didn't play all that well. They got bullied around.
My boy Givens is my boy. I've been hyping him up, but he was getting pushed around a little bit. And I was watching the broadcast.
He was on his back a lot, and he didn't play a lot. He didn't play a lot. But yeah, D'Amico got too cute. And then we go back to the coverage. I know people are all pissed off at Greenlaw and Hafunga. I completely understand why they did what they did, though, because Fields is running all over you. The truth is that Justin was taking over the game with his legs. And as a player in the moment, you want to step up. Yeah, exactly. Momentum swung, and that's fair. But realistically, the second Fields is running all over you, you feel like, okay, he's not going to beat us with his arm. He hadn't at that point. He threw for 22 yards at that point. Just stop him from running. But he literally turned around and threw a lob pass to Dante Pettis. I mean, to be honest, I didn't think he was even going to see him. And he did. I don't even know how he saw him. That was the weirdest thing ever. I don't know how he saw him. He wasn't
because he had too much time, Johnny. He had too much time. Bosa got clipped. Bosa's on the ground. Armstead whiffed, right?
Well, Bosa was doubled by the guard in the center and was trying to go up and around to keep him at the line of scrimmage, which was, again, that whole pass rush design was stupid. You run that like on second down if you want to try and fool them. You don't run that on third down. That was dumb. You don't take your two best edge rushers on the field and put them at defensive tackle to get picked off by 300-pounders. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Johnny, anything else that comes to mind before we talk about these running backs that you want to talk about from this loss?
No, let's just go to the running backs. We'll circle back on the rest of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But yeah, let's just move it forward.
Okay. Eli Mitchell's out 2 months, and this is the next. Let's see, where is it at?
The heated headlines.
Next heated headline: Eli Mitchell out 2 months. Man, this one stings. This one hurts. He was the best runner. Well, some might argue Trey Lance was the best runner. Trey was running hard, but Eli was looking good. He gashed him for a couple of 10-yard runs, and it was noticeable the difference between Eli Mitchell, Jeff Wilson. This injury, how's it going to affect this team? Who's going to step up? Just give me your general thoughts on the running back room right now.
It's going to be the same thing that happened last year. Elijah Mitchell being out kills this offense. When he was not playing in that stretch against the Seahawks and the Packers and a few other times throughout the year, except for the Bengals game, Jeff Wilson played okay, and Debo kind of saved the day on that one, and so did George Kittle. But when Elijah Mitchell wasn't playing, the running game really, really did not look good. He is by far their best back. I did like what they did today by signing Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack looked good against us. He looked fresh running the zone, and like a lot of those plays against us, were interior, exterior zone runs. So that looks promising. I don't know if he's going to play this week though. I think that'd be a little adventurous.
No way.
But it was a good signing. But the truth is that Jeff Wilson's not a starting running back anymore. If you go back and watch the All-22, if the play is blocked for 4 yards, Jeff Wilson gets 4 yards. The play is blocked for 1 yard, Jeff Wilson gets 1 yard. He is not making anyone miss. He's not hitting the hole incredibly fast. He hits it hard because he hits it hard, but he is not fast at all. And maybe it was the ring. I don't know. But in the run blocking, the offensive line really didn't play all that bad. There were some questionable, some difficult blocks there. Maybe Buford's a much better pass protector than he is a run protector right now in his career. I think in general he got stalemated a few times, and he did kind of miss a block, but he missed a block because McGlinchey wasn't on his shoulder. McGlinchey was behind him, which was the weirdest. I've never seen that in my life in a zone running game where a tackle was behind a guard. Usually they're even creating a wall for the cutback lane, but he was behind him, and then Buford's looking to come off, and there's no one there to give him that extra push to give him the help he needs. It happened a couple times in McGlinchey, and it's coming off his bad. I mean, his bad leg is his right leg, right, with the knee and the hamstring. Is his right leg or left?
Maybe someone in the chat knows.
Yeah, someone in the chat knows. Let me know because I had a feeling it was his left leg because there's a few times where he got beat inside and he looked like his leg wasn't really responding. But yeah, it's a killer for this team. You know, it turns Deebo Samuel into Trey Lance and a running backs more than what they needed to play as wide receiver and quarterback. There's no question that Deebo and Trey aren't on the same page right now. That's not a hot take. That's pretty realistic. I know Deebo had 2 drops. One of them was a check down that Trey basically just got rid of the ball, didn't want to take a sack on second down, and it was probably better he actually dropped the ball. They were just trying to run a quick pop pass behind the linebackers, and the linebackers like literally turned around and sprinted behind them so they wouldn't get beat. There was nowhere to go with the ball. Trey checked it down to Deebo. Deebo dropped it. The second one was down 9 points, and Trey threw a really good ball in the rain, and Deebo didn't catch it. You know, I know people are a little upset with Deebo for a lot of reasons. I don't think and I think this is fair. I don't think he's in the best shape he could have been going into this season. But you could say that about a lot of guys. Trent Williams didn't look like he was in his peak game shape just yet either. Not playing in the preseason, it does have its side effects. The NFL week 1 product, there was some weird stuff going on by a lot of teams who didn't play week 1. I didn't play in the preseason. So,
yeah.
It's a killer, but we'll see what happens. I'm a little bit more optimistic on this offensive line moving forward. They're not perfect, but they're going to have to be the engine that pushes this team forward. And that's really hard to do with 3 first-year starters. That's just the truth of this. I mean, we could talk about talent all day, but the truth is that you see them make little mistakes, and they make them at crucial times. And for the most part, they have a good game, but if one person's constantly making a mistake each time across the offensive line, especially on third downs, which we saw a lot of on Sunday, it doesn't matter who it was. It was Brendel, it was Banks at times, it was Buford one time, it was McGlinchey one time, it was Trent one time too. So, it's about being a cohesive unit. They're going to have to carry this run game. But right now, they got to figure out who their running back is, because if they roll Jeff Wilson out there for 20 carries and then Deebo out there for another 10 carries, they will lose on Sunday.
Scorching hot takes. Jordan Mason is that guy. Jordan Mason's going to be that guy. That's my hot take.
I hope so, man.
Come in and be kind of what Eli Mitchell was last year. Bursted on the scene. No one was expecting it. You know, he was active. TDP was not active last week. Was it a special teams thing? Probably, maybe, but I also think it's just due to the fact that Mason looks like the better runner at this point. And I was late to the Mason party. But I'm here now. And what I saw from him in the preseason was that he just gets downhill. He's decisive, Johnny. He's not tiptoeing back there.
No, he reminds me a little bit of Alfred Morris. I mean, the way he just hits it and goes. And I think that's the one thing that Kyle really liked about him, right? Having said that, though, does Kyle trust him? Because that's the other factor in this, too, is like we've seen Kyle not trust players forever, So it's up to it's not about what we say; it's about what Kyle's going to do.
No, Jeff Wilson's going to get the shot, and if Jeff Wilson's looking good, then he'll get more carries. But if you give him 8 carries and he's still averaging 2 yards a carry, you got to switch it at some point. We got to see one of these young cats. Marlon Mack, not quite yet. Not quite yet. We got to see what the young guy's been here for 3-4 months now, working with the squad. So
I'm telling you right now, they're going to use Deebo with 5 runs in the first quarter next week. And if the Seahawks do what the Bears did, it's going to make life really hard on that running game. So I'm very curious to see what Kyle's going to start doing, how it's going to look. But I think they are acutely aware of the fact that if Jeff Wilson gets more than 20 touches a game, they are not going to have the run game. They're not going to have the play action game off of that, because they could be losing in the game, because the Seahawks showed a little bit of explosion last night. It wasn't like they weren't a great offense, but they were explosive enough. So, they got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They can get a big play. And so
scorching hot takes. Johnny, why the hell wasn't Danny Gray dressed and ready to play? I mean, we need our most explosive. Okay, maybe Deebo's really explosive, but someone who can take the top off the defense. That's why we drafted this guy, right? Teams were loading the Bears were loading the box. Were they? You watched the All-22. Are the Bears loading the box or what?
Yes and no. This is the thing that pissed me off maybe the most from Kyle was they didn't do anything fancy. They weren't blitzing. They had a stunt. They had maybe this, but it was cover 3. It was cover 3 or man with a robber. It wasn't anything fancy.
We needed Danny
or
Gray out there
special.
to make a big play. I
Yeah.
think if Danny Gray is there, suited up, he can catch one ball for 60 yards and a touchdown. All right. When it's a monsoon and it's raining, it's hard to put together 10, 12, 15 play drives, Johnny.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like some explosiveness would help. And, you know, the deep threat receiver who you just drafted in the 3rd round, who had Trey's most explosive play during the preseason, was with Danny Gray.
Yeah, Danny.
So if everyone watching like this video right now, make sure you're subscribed. But Danny Gray should have been there because I mean Malik Hooker. I know he's a good special teamer, but I don't know. I don't like it.
Let's be honest. If Danny Gray catches that slot fade, it's a touchdown. It's not a you want yeah. I mean, there's no question about it. Like, you know, why was Danny Gray not active? Oh, they kept an effort. It was. I like what Kruger said. It was a little presumptuous of Kyle to not have your burner available, saying, "Oh, we'll be up by 20 points. We won't need him anyway." I get what he was thinking, but it really bit you in the ass when you had no one to run off coverage later in the game to get Debo and Ayuk open underneath. Because that was the other thing too. They basically sat in cover 3 and just sat in the middle of the field. This is the same stuff that Seattle did to fool Jimmy. It's the same crap that stops the Shanahan offense. You sit in cover 2 or cover 3, maybe cover 1 robber to try and make them think, oh, the middle of the field's open, but it's not. There were a couple of times when the middle of the field opened up, but Trey couldn't get there, and we'll get to that.
Let's get to it right now.
Okay.
I want to talk about Trey Lance.
Yeah.
All right. So let me change this graphic, and we're going with the next topic, which is burning questions. Burning question number 1: how would you assess Trey Lance's performance?
Definitely okay, not great, but not bad. See, this is the thing I don't understand: is why is everyone saying he was terrible? That's not true.
No,
he was not terrible. No,
he made some sweet throws. He made some sweet throws. Like the first drive, he hit BA over the BA got open on a couple of over routes, and Trey was dicing him up right on the money. He hit the wheel route. Trey had some really nice throws in this game.
And some of the early incompletions I chalk up to Kyle. I don't understand why Kyle puts Debo in a bunch formation and he thinks that no one's gonna think they're gonna run a screen. Like, this is something that just I just like, dude, like, they have game tape on you. And you release Trent, and all of a sudden, someone's in the defensive end's in the throwing lane for Trey, and it rattled him. It happened 2 times. It happened on one of the 3rd downs where he blinked it off the guy's helmet or just threw it away because he didn't want to throw a pick, which I got no problem with either of those decisions. And at the end of the quarter, when Debo could have got a nice gain, maybe even scored if they got the ball out to him, but Trent just released. And then the back doesn't touch the defensive end or cut him or do anything, and they get in the way of the pass, and Trey throws a bad ball. You know, I don't.
Was that right before the half when Trey skipped it to Debo? Is that the one you're talking about?
If you go back, Trent doesn't even cut him, get his arms down, and he just releases, which is fine. But the running back then has to take his spot and try and get in the way of the end a little bit. You look on both the screen passes that Trey missed to Debo. Both times the defensive end was flying with arms up right around him. And I don't care what quarterback you are. That's how that play gets blown up. It's really simple. Should he have made the throw? Probably. But when you go back and look at the angle, you realize, oh, it actually was a harder throw than you think because he had to throw around somebody. And then
that missed me. I thought he just
Debo.
Skipped it. I appreciate the context. I thought he just flat out just skipped it. And I'm like, come on, Trey.
Yeah, it's just shit like that. That he's calling plays for Jimmy, but that's not Jimmy. He's Trey. All right, I get it that Jimmy's got his quick, amazing release and his pixie dust that leads this team to overcome his 3 interceptions a game. All right, I understand it. Oh my God, amazing. I don't care anymore. He's not the quarterback. Trey's the quarterback. Call the game for Trey. Getting into the good of Trey, right? He made a couple phenomenal throws that show you, okay, this is why they took him 3rd overall, right? Yeah, it definitely hurt Broomer. I'm still pissed. I'm not happy. I didn't even care about fantasy football this week. I'm still pissed. And I won a lot. But he made the big time throws, the slot fade to Jennings, the first throw of the game to Ayuk, the first real throw, not the pop pass to Debo. And then we get into the mistakes. And to me, he had 4 real mistakes.
You messaged me. You had a few mistakes. I want to hear them.
The first one was obviously the Croft pass. If it's a physical mistake, listen, they're gonna happen. I'm not gonna bang them over the head. It's early in the game. They should have overcome that and got some points. All right. It was a first down pop play. They should have still got some points in the drive. They took a shot, they missed it. It happens. All right. I'm not gonna kill him for that. I know everyone wants to kill him for that and make him sound like he's a village idiot. The truth is that Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, the rookie start years, they missed those throws too. Okay,
I mean, he didn't miss it by a ton, in my opinion.
No,
he didn't miss it by a ton.
If it was Kittle,
and
if it was Kittle, that ball is probably brought down because Kittle's faster than Croft. Yeah. So I mean, there's that. The second big mistake was in the red zone, and I wouldn't even call it a mistake. We're getting and to me, Trey didn't really make a mistake again. The Croft play was in the first quarter. To me, Trey didn't really make a mistake again until the third quarter. He did some good things in the second quarter. The offense moved the ball. They got their 1 touchdown. He also had some great running plays too. But his second mistake was in the red zone. It's 3rd and 5. They opening drive after the Juwan Jennings slot fade. They get a first down. They're in 1st and goal. Kyle calls the same play twice, just different directions. And the second time it gets blown up. Real shocker.
Was that the jet sweep?
No, it was that stupid combo zone where they fake like they're zoning the other way and then give it the other way and try and gap scheme them around the edge. But Jeff Wilson's not fast enough or talented enough to get into the edge. If it was Elijah Mitchell, maybe it's a touchdown on the first one, but the second one got completely blown up. But they basically ran double outs on the left side with a Texas route with Juice. And then they ran a slant or under and a corner or a stick route on the right side. Trey's working to the left side, and to be honest, if Kittle was there, he probably would have stuck Kittle on the stick route, and it would have been a touchdown. But it was Dwelly. He looked off the left because I also do think the other thing that, for context too, it does look like Trey's working the Texas route to Juszczyk, and Roquan Smith tackles Kyle Juszczyk.
I remember that.
Him like. Okay, no penalties on the Bears. Sweet. Yeah, totally. He tackled him, and then Trey gets a little flustered, works back to his right. He might have had Debo, but the truth is he just should have just stayed play side. The second he went back to his right, it was 3-on-2 on the right side. Ayuk doesn't run a corner, runs a curl. The corner covers it, and he takes a sack. It's a little ticky-tacky. A lot of things are happening really fast. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know didn't process exactly what I just said in the last few seconds, but that's kind of the point, right? Is that it's hard. It's hard. And the truth is that you go stay at the play side, get the ball out of your hands. The red zone, things are condensed, things are faster. And these are things that he's going to learn, but it's still a mistake. So if it's a mistake, you got to point it out. The third big mistake is obviously the pick. When you go back and watch it, it's not as bad of a pick as people want to say it is. Oh, I heard someone say, "Oh, it looks just like Jimmy." And I go, no, it did not, because Eddie Jackson made a hell of a play. So they ran robber man coverage, and Trey actually makes the right read. He makes the right read to the slant, but he's definitely a second or two late. And by doing that, Eddie Jackson.
I mean, it's not even a second, Johnny. It's like a full second. Half a second. It's like a half a second.
Nah, he took an extra step and hitch. It was a full second.
I'm going to whip out my stopwatch, and I'm going to time it. I'm going to let you know if it is a full second. All right, Johnny?
Well, here's how I know it was a full second. Eddie Jackson took 2 steps to his left and then came back to his right to make the diving interception, right? So Trey goes to the right spot with the ball. He starts looking left, comes back, looks right, comes back left quickly, and then gets it out. Eddie takes 2 steps to his left and then beelines for the slant to the right and makes a diving interception. Yeah. So, I mean, but
there was a window. There was a window. It was right there. And Trey was just half a second late.
Yeah. And to me, but what was it? But this is a common theme, though, is that the 2 physical mistakes he made. What did I say, though? He went to the right spot with the football. He's not throwing the ball like Jimmy did against the Vikings. My favorite Jimmy play of the year, where Kittle is running an out route, 15-yard out, and there's nobody around him. But Jimmy works a triple team to the backside of Debo and almost throws a pick. Later, throws a pick on the drive. Trey's going to the right spot with the football. He's not freelancing. He's running the offense, all right? Whether you like it, dislike it, whatever you want to say, that's just the truth. He's doing what Kyle's telling him to do, and he sees it. So that's a really big positive. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. And he's not going to be this year. He won't be next year. It's going to take some time. This is a process with him. But that was the big third mistake. And the fourth mistake was something that we talked about that might be a little nuanced, and people might call it ticky-tack. But in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's important, is the over movement in the pocket. Now, what the hell am I talking about, right? Like, dude, he moves in the pocket. Like, let me preface this for you guys. There's 4 plays in particular where Trey gets an inside pass rush where an offensive lineman gets beat across his face. First of all, that's a bad rep by the offensive lineman.
What does it mean to get beat? Offensive lineman getting beat across their face. So
if I got a guy line up on this shoulder, right,
mm-hmm.
and he beats me here, and I wash him out of the play, right?
Yes.
Like, that's not getting beat across my face, right?
Gotcha.
Because he's on that same side. The problem so he's on that same side. So the quarterback knows he's coming from that lane, right?
Yeah.
The problem with getting beat across your face is it screws up the lanes and the steps for the quarterback, right?
Okay.
It immediately screws that up because you have to reset, right? And resets take an extra second, and in timing offenses, especially like Kyle's, is a big problem. And what you saw Trey do on 3 of those plays was he's centered, right? And then he turns his shoulders, ducks out of the way, and then tries to come back. But by the time he tries to come back, it's already gone, right? So the first time it happened was on 3rd down, I think in the first quarter, maybe the second drive, where if you saw it, he scudded the ball into Jennings, right? Well, Trey kind of overreacted, got his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage again.
Yeah, you're talking about when he's here, and then when he has to move in the pocket, he completely takes himself out of throwing position. He's here, and he's sliding this way to kind of squeeze away from a defender that the offensive lineman got beat across his face. So he's squeezing past, and he's taking himself out of his throwing position. That's what you're saying, correct?
Exactly. It's wasted movement to throw the football, right? And I understand people like, dude, why are you talking about this? I'm talking about this because these are the things that Brian Griese and Kyle Shanahan, I know they're harping on right now. These are the things that they call Jimmy Garoppolo awesome on, because Jimmy would just kind of flip it out there, right? Because he would turn his shoulders and just throw it, right? Because that's just how he is. He would get the ball out quick, and whether it was picked or not, because
that's one of Jimmy's strengths.
That's one of his strengths.
That's one of his strengths.
No, it is. No question about that. And like for Trey, he needs to tone that movement in and realize, hey, if I got Aaron Banks being beat across his face like this, I got Trent Williams over there. Okay, I'm going to be okay. So just turn the shoulders, take a quick drop step, and stay within the play. And if you go back, there's 4 in particular. The first one time it happened, Trey misses Jennings. The second time it happened, Trey ends up scrambling for 8 yards. That was in the third quarter, and they punt, right? That was kind of a backbreaker a little bit. They couldn't keep the drive going and kind of, give the defense a little bit more time off, maybe even get points.
Was someone open on that play?
Yeah. On the backside, Debo would have been open on the double. They ran double ins on the backside, and Debo was open for a good second, or maybe it may have been Ayuk. I'm not quite sure. But the second in route would have been open for a second, but Trey had to drop his eyes, and it was on the right side. He dropped to the left, so there's no way he's coming across there to make that throw. So he did the right thing and scrambled from there. He makes the right decision even after he makes a mistake. That's another positive. The third time, though, this is the one that hurts, which is the one that would have been a touchdown to Debo. I was saying it in Rob and Jack's chats yesterday. It's like, guys, get ready. Debo's about to be open for a touchdown. And people are like, what are you talking about? And then you just see it. You're like, oh, crap. They kind of ran, again, that classic Kyle, 2 receivers, big protection, zone read. Aaron Banks, unfortunately, makes a mental error. The offense is selling a run fake to the right. He steps left. He gets beat inside. The one thing I will say about Banks, though, he didn't disengage. He pushed. He does do a good job of at least getting in front, getting his arms on him and getting him pushed past the quarterback. I'll give him that. But Jack said that was a good block. I completely disagree because he got beat across his face, especially on the interior. That's unacceptable. You can get beat parallel, but not up the train tracks like that. because it just, again, it throws off the footing.
That's right in the line of fire. That's right in the quarterback's vision. That's right in front of his face.
Exactly. If you get beat around the outside, that's when he can step up and move. I mean, you saw a trade. There's another time where it happens on third down where it's 3rd and 12 and he sticks it to Dwelly. He actually did it right because he didn't get beat too much across his face. He stepped up slowly, but his arm was still back here, got his arm back and threw the dart to Dwelly. Mm-hmm. So, you saw him do it right, but a couple of times it was wrong, and one time, and unfortunately, was a killer because had he – I mean, I'm not going to blame Trey for this, but it's just something to realize that defenses might try and tee off on, is that if he gets moving to his left a little bit, he's not the best passer yet. And they basically – it took maybe 3 big third downs off the field, conversions, and maybe a touchdown for Debo.
Okay.
I talked a lot there.
It was good. No, it was interesting because now, like, that's something that, I'm watching this game and that's something that I didn't catch. My eyes didn't see. I see him doing it as far as when he's turning and he's sliding, he's kind of manipulating the pocket, squeezing out, but
you can't tell until you see the all 22. Until you see the end zone angle, you don't see it because it's happening too fast on TV. Yeah. Maybe if you're at a game, you could see it if you got a good line on the goalpost because you can see it, because you can't really see that angle. But when you see it, you're like, oh shit, because he's just off balanced, right? Because that's the other thing too, is that because he overstrides sometimes, he's just a little off balance, and then he has to get back to balance. So it's a lot of coaches talk about like wasted movement and how like sports like football, like you can't have that because you don't have time to adjust yourselves and get that right. So, it's the growing pains of Trey Lance, right? He's 22 years old. He's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to be just fine, regardless of what all these people in the national media are saying, because they're all pissed off that Kyle made him look stupid 2 years ago. And just get over it. Who cares? It's not Mac Jones. Deal with it. Mac Jones looked like crap on Sunday, but then everyone gets to say, oh, he's hurt. No, he looked bad because he's not great. So, whatever.
Let's get to Josh's comment here. I thought Lance looked good. The offense as a whole did struggle to get into rhythm after the first few drives. It's not a Lance issue, though. The offense struggled the exact same way in the NFC Championship game.
And that's a good point because the Bears did something that the Rams did to stop the 49ers running game after a while. They went double A gaps. What do I mean by that? So basically, what the Rams did that threw off the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, and this is something the Packers did as well to slow down the running game, was essentially they put one shade, so inside shade of the center on both of his shoulders, right? Now, the reason why you're doing that is because you want to negate these double teams, right? You want a lot of guys in the box with no double teams, and you want guys flowing and filling the holes hard to stop the Kyle Shanahan running game. There's no cutback that way. And that caused more problems than they care to admit. It was working early because Elijah Mitchell was making guys miss. If you go back and look at some of the runs by Mitchell, there are some phenomenal cut blocks in there from Warner and Dwelly and Croft. But the truth is, Mitchell would make the first guy miss and go get a nice gain after that, because after that, the hole was open, but he made the first guy miss. But there was someone there in the hole. There's a couple of runs where Mitchell did that. When Jeff Wilson came in the game, that did not happen. He didn't make anyone miss. And Debo did it once or twice. But the second they put Debo in the backfield, they changed their defense. They basically stacked the backside of the line of scrimmage, which you would think is counterintuitive on the defensive line, but that shuts down the backside cut, and you overload with linebackers and safeties on the play side, because you know that Debo is going to run. It's going to come to the right. Wherever he's lined up, it's going to come the opposite side of the quarterback, right? Because he's in the shotgun, usually not under center.
Yeah. So he's doing a gun run. It's like a sweep. He's going the opposite way.
You're giving it away if you're going to run the ball where it's going to go, because you also don't want Debo blocking a linebacker.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm sorry, Johnny, but I just remembered something that I don't want to forget. Johnny, we ran the triple option for one play, right? We faked the handoff to Debo, and then Trey pitched it to Eli Mitchell to the outside, and it was a gain of 7. And then we didn't see it again. So, Johnny, when things are sputtering, we're not moving the ball in the second half. Why didn't you go back to it? We ran it one time. It gained 7.
Trey would have got Trey, it
Trey
wouldn't
was
have
getting
run.
lit up the whole time, Johnny.
No.
Trey was getting-
No. They changed their scheme. So because they were running the cover 3, they basically, this is how you stop the zone read and the triple option, right? Having that safety down or linebacker down around the defensive end, because the end man line of scrimmage is your read key on the triple option and zone reads, right? If he slow plays it, which they were doing, Trey can't keep it because that means he's got 1-2 instead of just one guy on an island, right? So if he keeps the ball, he's going to get hit, or the back on the pitch is going to get hit, and it's going to be the odds are you keep doing that, you're going to fumble, you're going to make a mistake, right? So,
but then you don't need to fake the handoff. If the numbers are over there, if the defense has the numbers pitch side, then you're just handing the ball off. We should have the numbers on the inside.
Yeah, well,
so I just didn't like the fact that we ran it one time, it worked, we gained 7 yards, and then we never saw it again.
Yeah, no, I get why you're pissed. I mean, the other thing too, the triple option was sort of funky because that one they pulled both the backside guard and tackle to make it look like that quarterback veer read option on the backside. But then they brought Mitchell instead of carrying out a fake, ran a triple option. So it was a little bit more trickier, nuanced than it initially looked. But no, there was a reason why they did try to run the read option in the second half, but it was always a give key because Trey would see. They basically ran a flat cover 3, which is when you have a linebacker, safety stacked on top of your defensive ends and and tackles, right? So you're really sound in all the boxes. And you do that because if someone loses contain on the read, you have someone right behind him. And the other part of it too is they weren't getting the actual zone running game going. So because they weren't getting that going, you don't really want to run the triple option either. You want to pass it over their heads. And that's something that they tried doing, and they just didn't protect well enough to do it. So, I mean,
if you want to pass it over their heads, Danny Gray should have been on the field.
That's very true. That's a very good point.
Hey, Johnny, I want to get into this Bears talk. The Bears game. I mean, it's getting me fired up. That's why it's this fired up can work in either, hey, it's a good thing, hey, Niners won, I'm fired up, or it's like, hey, Niners lose and I'm fucking pissed and I'm fired up about that.
For sure.
But why don't we look forward and let's talk about this Seahawks game coming up. Seahawks played last night. I thought Geno Smith looked better than I was anticipating, although I didn't think Geno looked horrible last year when he was filling in for Russ Wilson.
Yeah.
Seahawks, I mean, Rashad Penny broke off a couple runs. They still got 2 really good wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They managed to pull the upset with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos going to Seattle. The Seahawks pulled it out. They're the only team in the division with a win.
Mm-hmm.
What are you expecting to see? Do you think the Niners win? Look, we can start wherever you want to start.
It's going to depend, right? So, truthfully, this is one thing I thought was really true from the offseason. I didn't feel that Denver was as good as everyone thought it was going to be. I didn't feel like their defense got a whole lot better this offseason. I know everyone went crazy over Randy Gregory coming in. I'm not the biggest Randy Gregory fan. I think he's undisciplined. He doesn't fit a 4-3, a 3-4 as
How many
an outside
penalties
linebacker.
did he have in that NFC? He had like 3 or 4 penalties in the NFC
Championship
game.
But not just in that game. Like he's had personal issues and he's had some discipline issues going back for years that kept him off the field. Like and being in the 3-4, you have to be very assignment sound as an edge. So like I never really thought that was a great fit because you're going to put him on islands a lot more in zone coverage possibly, which is not the best. I don't know. I didn't think that was a great signing, but I think on defense they're not as good as everyone thought they were going to be. On offense, Russ is Russ, but Russ ain't the same Russ he was 5 years ago. He's good, but he's not the lights out killer. So for starters, Denver's not as good as everyone thought they would be. Also, the second part of it is that, listen, I know the Seahawks lost Russell Wilson, but you can argue the Seahawks team this year is much better than the Seahawks team last year from a non-quarterback perspective, right? They got a much better tight end than Noah Fant. They've really addressed.
They got some offensive line, yeah.
Right.
I thought Cross, the rookie left tackle, looked solid going up against Chubb.
And then Forsythe too. Oh, Abraham Lucas they got in the draft. He's pretty solid right tackle. I know he made quite a few mistakes last night, but I liked him. We'll see what happens with him at Washington State. And then now they're going to have Kenneth Walker probably back this week. So they're going to have a 1-2 running back punch with two pretty good backs. And on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, they're not world beaters at all. They were able to get some pressure last night on Russell Wilson, which I was a little shocked by. But they play fast and physical because Pete Carroll has a good scheme. He's still a really good coach. So it's not going to be a 30-point blowout for sure because it's a division game. Those don't happen. They only happen somehow when Colt McCoy plays. So, but no, no, I mean, seriously, I will say it's going to be a closer game than people think it's going to be because also the 49ers, I think, are the first time we're going to feel some serious pressure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on this team going into this game. I mean,
it feels like, is this a must-win game?
It's a must-win.
Is it too early in the season to call week 2 a must-win? I thought we were going to beat the Bears.
Imagine
we were going to be 2-0.
Well, imagine last year if the Niners had lost to the Lions and lost to the Eagles. Could you imagine? And they almost did both those games. Let's just go back a year. And we flipped those 2 games, right? What the hell is going on then?
We're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, sure. How sure it's not in the playoffs, but also does Trey start week 3? Like the season could have been so much different, and they almost lost those games anyway. But that just shows you the margin of error in the NFL. It's razor thin. Teams in the 49ers are much better than in January and February, or in January. They didn't get to February, unfortunately. But that just shows you, right? The first couple of weeks, everyone's more healthy. Anything can happen. We don't really know what's going to happen. So, I mean, right now, I'd say the 49ers are the better football team. Yeah, they're the better football team. Are they better coached? I'd say they're better coached, but I think Pete Carroll showed that he's still a hell of a coach, and he's shown an ability to outcoach Kyle Shanahan over the last couple of years and really cause problems with his offense. Now, last year in Seattle, the 49ers should have lost that game, but 10 threw that one away. And if you want to argue with me on that one, someone please do, because I'd love to talk about it. But, hopefully trades the thing that I'm confident about is I think Trey's going to look a lot better this week. Hopefully it's not pouring rain. It says 50% chance of rain. Hopefully it rains at nighttime and the game's already over. It doesn't matter. Maybe just overcast, chilly, relaxing day. So we'll see. But it's definitely going to be a closer game than people think. It's not going to be a blowout. If the Niners blow them out, it'd be a very impressive win by the 49ers. It'd be
because of the defense. It'd be because of the defense.
Yeah, you're looking at like a pick six or like a strip sack early in the game.
Like they sacked Geno six times, and
yes.
If it was a blowout, it was because the defense pitched a shutout or something like that. Hey, everyone in the chat, if you got a question, put a flame emoji after it or incorporate a flame emoji. We're going to answer all questions that incorporate a fire emoji. So do that now. In the meantime, I'm going to give you my prediction for this game. I think the defense is going to wreak havoc on Geno Smith. I do think we're going to get, we got 2 sacks against the Bears. I think we're going to double that. I think we're getting at least 4. I'm going to say 5. Yeah. Let's go 4. I'm thinking 4 sacks. Geno looked like he was holding the ball a bit long last night in that game, and I was noticing that. They're running some longer developing routes. So might be something. I'm thinking 4 sacks. The defense shows up big. Maybe we give up 14, 17 points. So if I'm thinking Seahawks score 17, 28-17. Sounds like a pretty good score for me.
I'm thinking like 21-10.
Yeah, if it's raining hard,
16.
if it's raining, I probably gotta adjust that score. This is the Tuesday prediction, so it's fluid. Check back with me. I may have changed the ultimate score prediction, but I think the Niners they're gonna pull this one out. They know Seahawks are coming off a win, so they might be kind of feeling themselves right. They're leading the NFC. Niners, they got to be hungry. They better come out with some fire.
Oh, look, Bears fans showing up. Yeah, you guys are so down. What happens when Aaron Rodgers makes you your daddy again this weekend? Do you really think he's going to play bad this weekend, Bears fans? Bears Kingdom? Sure about that? Positive about that?
Bears Kingdom, thanks for coming by. Hey, you guys won flat out. I thought the Niners were the better team. We outgained you, but you guys came up with the win.
You sure? Hey, Bears Kingdom, you really sure about that? You really sure about that? You
I need to
really
take
sure
that
he's
down.
better? You really
I
sure?
shouldn't have left that up there so long.
Go to his last comment. You really sure Fields is better than Lance? You really sure about that? You're really
Yeah, I didn't
flexing
think
on,
so.
You're
I didn't
really
think so.
flexing on that 8 of 17 for a backyard touchdown and a busted coverage for a touchdown. You're really gonna be like, damn, Fields is the next Patrick Mahomes. He's so much better than Trey Lance. I want you to hear yourself have that rattle around in your brain a little bit. Let it rattle around, and then be like, okay.
Yeah. Well, we got some flame emojis. We're going to address these. Anything with the flame emoji gets addressed. So drop them in the comments. Josh says waiver wire pickup for fantasy. Well, I'll tell you, I'm already owning Jeff Wilson. I kind of knew that this was a thing. No, I already have Jeff Wilson. Don't shake your head. No, I already own Jeff Wilson on my team. I was drafting this guy because I knew there was a chance Eli Mitchell gets out. But you're right. You're shaking your head because he didn't look very good in his opportunities. So, Josh, if it's a deep league, I'm looking at Jordan Mason. I want Jordan Mason, on the roster. I think, he's going to get some run. And, Rex Burkhead's another name out there, but no, I don't really want no Rex Burkhead.
Say Jones.
Robbie Anderson. I'm going Robbie Anderson.
I'm not the biggest Robbie guy. I'm a big Zay. Joshua Palmer might be available in some leagues. Keenan Allen's going to be out for Thursday Night Football. That might be a nice little plug-in play if you're missing Keenan Allen. I really like Zay Jones. I said it last week. I think one of our shows before the season. I thought Zay Jones was going to be the best receiver in Jacksonville this year, and he had a lot of targets. He's really talented. I have him in every single league. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be a 5 for 80 guy almost every week, Mr. Consistency. If you want to go deep, I mean, if you have Najee, I know that I said he's going to play. I would still snag his backup Warren just to be safe because there's a chance he doesn't play. I don't care what they say. Mike Tomlin is a very risk-averse coach, so that's a possibility. I would also say stay away from the Denver tight ends. And if Pat Freiermuth's somewhere in your league, he was available in some of my leagues. Pick him up too because he's.
I got Freiermuth in the last round of one of my drafts. It was like if I missed out on Goddard was kind of like that last tight end I wanted to go out and draft. After that, Goddard, Hawkinson. After that, I'll just wait and just take whoever slipped, and it was Freiermuth, and he had some action. I mean, Gerald Everett, he caught a few balls. I know tight end is a position where, anyone who catches 4 or 5 balls should probably be owned.
Yeah.
But hopefully we gave you something there, Josh. If something else comes to mind, I'm gonna hit your Twitter DM. All right.
If you have Dak and you're struggling for an injury, Carson Wentz is a good call. Trey Lance might be in the waiver wire too. He may not be the worst call in the world. So,
Yeah, I like Robbie Anderson though because Baker likes to chuck it deep, and Robbie Anderson is that deep threat. So he might be a bit boom or bust. Last week it was boom. So yeah. Fable says over under 7 penalties. Last week it was 12 for the 99 yards. Over under 7 penalties. I'm going under. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say under.
If it's under 7, if it's like 6 or 5, they might win. Because let's be real, they pissed it down their leg on Sunday. They gave it away. Let's be honest. Penalties were just stupid. They beat themselves with it.
What made no sense, Johnny? Which was the team with the new coaching staff? Playing their first game with the new – please explain to me, was it the Bears or was it the 49ers? Because the Bears only had, 3 or 4 penalties for the game?
But this is constant in Kyle's teams. It's constant.
They
commit so many penalties. And I
know they motion a ton. I know they motion a ton, and it's I don't want to say it's difficult. There's a better word for it.
It's more challenging than an average offense.
More
I'll give you that.
challenging,
But I mean,
complicated.
yeah, it's complicated.
That's
Yeah,
the
you beat yourself with penalties, and so listen, they're over 7 penalties and they win this game. It's just Trey Lance did some crazy stuff. I don't know if he's going to do that. So I would say if it's under they win, if it's over they lose. So how about that? Because saying that the Niners can do the same thing they did the week before and just roll up on a team is ridiculous. Yeah, Curtis Samuel, if he's available, he's not available in a lot of my leagues. A lot of my friends drafted him. So
really,
yeah, I was kind of shocked by that myself. But I don't. The thing with Samuel is that I'm not 100% sold on Dotson, and McLaurin. McLaurin's not going to have a game like that again. Like Dotson and McLaurin are going to be number 2 in that offense some weeks versus another. So when you're a number 2 receiver, number 3 receiver, and you have the 2 game and the 3 game, the 2 game and the 3 game, it makes life really hard on who's going to be the guy. So maybe if they use him like Debo, but I think year long it might be a little more challenging just because of Jahan Dotson. He's really good. So that was a hell of a pick by Washington.
Raphael's right. Like and subscribe. And go out and trade for Allen Lazard, too. I'm big on Lazard. He missed last week with an injury. I think he's going to have a good year when he heals up. Just going through these comments. Drop the fire emojis. We will definitely pull it up on the screen. Bro, Niners fans associated with the Bears.
He had a good one.
No. Yeah.
Oh, no. Traylon Burks, J.K. Dobbins, stash or cut.
Oh shoot! I got to keep scrolling.
That's okay.
I'm behind on the chat. I've got Pitts. Don't need a tight end. Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Traylon Burks, J.K. Dobbins, stash or cut. You got to keep J.K. Dobbins. I mean, you got to stash J.K. Dobbins. Traylon Burks. I don't think he did much. I know, but Rashawn Woods. Like, who's catching balls over there? It was Humphreys. No, not Humphreys. Who's the kid from UCLA?
It wasn't
the little slot. The little slot. No, it was the little slot.
Oh yeah.
Phillips.
Phillips. Yeah.
Phillips. This guy, I like this guy coming out of UCLA. He is the next kind of Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. I mean, Wes Welker was really good. But if you're looking for the next really good white slot receiver, it's going to be that guy, Kyle Phillips.
No, JK, I would say stash. You can stash J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be on out, so it's going to be a little easier to stash him.
Is he on IR?
He's not on IR. He's just out, so you can use an injury spot. I would stash J.K. just because he's a running back and they're more valuable. If you had to pick between one or the other, stash J.K., cut Burks, just because I think there's other receivers in your league that could be available, but don't just outright cut them. Pick up somebody else, But yeah.
I'll make sure I didn't miss nothing. Hey, we hit that hour mark. Johnny, thank you for giving me your time. It was a hell of an episode. And, we're going to do this again. We need a win, though, Johnny. And I'm going to be at the game. You're going to be at the game. We'll try to link up, at some point. I'll hit you. But thanks for coming on. Any last things you want to share with the fan base?
Let's hope they get a win this week. Otherwise, things are going to really hit the fan around here. So, yeah. And to the Bears fan in the chat, we'll see you in December. Congrats on the win, okay? But we'll see you in December.
Love it. All right, Johnny, thanks for coming by. Those of you watching, catch y'all next time.